You know that feeling, right? Something small happens, maybe a slightly rude email, plans change last minute.
Yeah, and suddenly you're just boiling inside,
Yeah.
frustrated or angry.
Exactly. And you kind of wish you could just flick a switch and, calm down.
It's such a common feeling.
Yeah.
And it really taps into something deep about how our minds work, this desire for better emotional control.
Totally. And that's exactly what we're getting into today. We're doing a deep dive into the power of not reacting.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at some really interesting ideas from a YouTube video. It's called Power of Not Reacting, How to Control Your Emotions, Gautam Buddha Motivational Story. It's from the Wisdom Insights channel.
Right.
So think of this as like your shortcut to figuring out how to handle those emotional triggers a bit more intentionally.
Which is so relevant today, isn't it? Life's fast, things are always happening. Responding thoughtfully instead of just, lashing out.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference.
It really does. So the video uses two main examples to explore this. First, there's this story about a king who gets some pretty profound advice. And then we follow this guy, Michael, who consciously worked on changing his reactive habits.
Two different perspectives on the same core idea.
Yeah. So our mission today is basically to pull out the key wisdom. How does not reacting actually work, and why is it such a powerful tool for, growing as a person and just feeling better day to day?
And it's important right off the bat to clarify what not reacting even means here.
Okay.
It's not about pretending you don't feel things, right?
Good point. It's not suppression.
No. It's more about creating a little bit of space, that moment between the trigger and your actual response.
Okay, so let's dive into that first story, the king. Picture this. He's visiting another kingdom, big fancy dinner,
Right.
and boom, a fly lands in his soup.
Ugh. Instantly grossed out, I imagine.
Totally. He's disgusted, wants a new bowl, makes a scene.
But then the host king steps in.
Yeah, and he says something really crucial. He's very calm about it, apparently. Says something like, "Your Majesty, don't worry about it. It's just a fly, no big deal."
But that wasn't the main point, was it?
No, the kicker was, it is not the fly that ruined your mood, but your reaction to it.
Wow, that lands heavily, doesn't it? It puts the responsibility squarely back on the individual.
It really does. It makes you think, how often do we let tiny things, a slow driver, a misplaced comment, completely derail our whole mood?
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
The fly itself is just a fly. It's neutral. It's our interpretation, our reaction that causes the upset, the internal turmoil.
So the takeaway is that power, the control, it lies within our response, not necessarily in changing the external world.
Exactly. We can't always control what happens to us, but we can learn to control how we respond to it.
Now, you mentioned earlier that this isn't about suppression. I think that's a really key distinction the video makes.
Absolutely critical. Because just telling someone don't react could sound like bottle it up, and we know that's not healthy.
Right, that usually backfires.
Yeah. The video stresses that emotions are normal. They're signals. You need to acknowledge them. The skill is in learning to sort of process them thoughtfully instead of letting them hijack your behavior instantly.
So feel the feeling, but don't let it drive the bus immediately.
So that's a great way to put it. Create that pause. See the feeling, understand it, then choose how to act.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So let's shift to the second story then, this young man, Michael. What was his deal?
Michael's story is maybe more relatable for many of us day to day. He apparently really struggled with impulsive reactions. Quick temper, saying things he regretted.
The kind of thing that strains relationships.
Definitely. The video indicates it was causing real problems for him, friction with people he cared about.
So he decided to change. What did he actually do?
He took it seriously, started practicing mindfulness, meditation, techniques designed to help you become more aware of your thoughts and feelings without immediately judging them or acting on them.
So building that awareness muscle first.
Precisely. So he could start to notice the anger or frustration bubbling up before it exploded.
And when he felt that trigger, what did not reacting look like in practice for him? Was it just gritting his teeth?
Well, the video describes it more like consciously stepping back internally, taking deep breaths, giving himself a moment to assess the situation properly before opening his mouth or doing anything.
That sounds difficult, especially at first.
Oh, for sure. The video makes it clear it wasn't easy. He still felt the anger, the impulse was still there, but he learned gradually to make a different choice, to not act on that first wave of emotion.
It takes real discipline, doesn't it? Did he see results?
Yes, absolutely. It was gradual, but noticeable improvement. He got better and better at managing those responses.
And the impact on his life?
Really positive, according to the video. His relationships improved significantly. Arguments turned into calmer discussions. He built stronger connections because he wasn't constantly causing hurt with impulsive words.
That's powerful. There's even that bit where a friend comes to him for advice, right?
Yeah, that's great detail. This friend was struggling and sought Michael out specifically because he noticed how much calmer and more thoughtful Michael had become.
So others saw the change clearly.
They did. The friend even commented, like, how do you always stay so calm? You never seem angry.
And what did Michael say? Did he pretend he didn't feel things anymore?
No, and this is crucial. He explained that he absolutely still felt all the emotions, anger, frustration, everything. The difference was he'd learned to control his reactions to those emotions.
Ah, the control is in the action, not the feeling itself.
Exactly. Feeling is human. Choosing your response, that's the skill, the empowerment.
So Michael basically transformed how people saw him.
Pretty much. He became known for being level-headed, resilient. He could handle tough situations better. And the video mentions he found a greater sense of inner peace, too.
Which makes you think, doesn't it? Imagine applying that in your own life. Those little daily frictions or even bigger conflicts. Responding thoughtfully could change so much.
It really could shift your whole experience.
Now, the video also sprinkles in these quotes attributed to the Buddha that really nailed down this idea. Let's unpack a few. The first one. Anger will never disappear so long as thoughts of resentment are cherished in the mind.
Anger will disappear just as soon as thoughts of resentment are forgotten. Yeah, that points straight to the internal source, doesn't it? It's the holding on, the cherishing of resentment that fuels the fire.
So letting go of the internal story is key.
Seems to be the message there.
And this one is blunt. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Oof, yeah. That really highlights how anger primarily harms us, the person feeling it. It's self-destructive.
Then there's one about self-mastery. He who holds back rising anger like a rolling chariot. Hear my, call a real driver, other people are but holding the reins.
I love that metaphor. The chariot is your impulse, your emotion. Are you driving it, or is the anger driving you? Or worse, are you letting other people's actions hold the reins? It's about taking control back.
Right, being the driver. And this one's simple but deep. Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without.
It reminds us that trying to control everything outside of us to find peace is often a losing battle. Real, lasting peace is an inside job, cultivating the internal calm.
Here's one that links reactivity to losing perspective. In a controversy, the instant we feel anger, we have already ceased striving for the truth and have begun striving for ourselves.
That's so relevant today, isn't it? When anger flares up in an argument, suddenly it's not about understanding or finding truth anymore. It's about winning, being right, defending the self.
Yeah, objectivity goes out the window. And then there's this very direct instruction. Don't react, respond with reason, not emotion.
Super clear. It's a practical command almost.
Okay.
Pause, engage your thinking brain, then act. Don't just let the emotional reflex take over.
And connecting letting go to freedom. Letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness.
It suggests that being trapped in reactive patterns, holding on to negativity, that's a kind of prison. Letting go is the path to liberation and therefore happiness.
A foundational one. All that we are is the result of what we have thought.
Which really underlines the power of our mindset. Our thoughts shape our reality, our feelings, how we react to things. It all starts internally.
Love this analogy. The mind is like water when it's turbulent. It's difficult to see when it's calm. Everything becomes clear.
Beautiful, isn't it? When you're emotionally stirred up, everything is murky. You can't think straight, can't see the situation clearly. Calm the waters and clarity emerges. Better judgment, better decisions.
And finally, linking it to mindfulness practice. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment.
Right. Because often our reactions are triggered by past hurts or future worries. Being grounded in the present moment helps break that cycle. It anchors you, makes you less susceptible to those emotional triggers.
It's amazing how these short quotes cover so many different angles of this idea.
Yeah, they provide both the why, the philosophy, and hints of the how, the practice. Really insightful stuff.
Okay, so let's try and boil this down. As we wrap up this deep dive, what are the main actionable things for you, the listener, to take away from all this?
Well, first, I think it's realizing that your power lies in your response, not just the event itself. That's huge.
Sure. Own your reaction.
Second, becoming aware of your emotions as they happen is step one. You can't manage what you don't notice.
Mindfulness, basically.
Exactly. Third, Consciously create that pause. Breathe. Think before you act or speak, especially when triggered.
Easier said than done sometimes, but crucial.
For sure. And finally, remember, it's a skill. It takes practice. Like learning anything, you get better over time with consistent effort. Don't expect perfection overnight.
And the payoff seems pretty significant if you stick with it.
Oh, absolutely. The video really paints a picture of improved relationships, better thinking, less stress, more inner peace, just overall better well-being. It's about responding with intention, not just reacting on impulse.
So, summing up our exploration of these ideas from Wisdom Insights, the core message is really about the huge impact of choosing our responses.
Yeah. We saw it conceptually with the King's Insight.
And practically with Michael's whole transformation, he really shifted his life by learning this skill.
And it underlines that key point again. It's not about not feeling. It's about understanding those feelings and choosing a wiser, more beneficial response, developing that capacity.
So here's something for you to chew on. Think back to a time recently when you had that knee-jerk reaction. Maybe you snapped or got really defensive. What might have happened differently if you'd managed to just pause for a second? Take a breath. How could starting to cultivate this power of non-reaction actually change things for you day to day?
That's a great question to reflect on.
Definitely something worth exploring further in your own life.